So, you know, this time last year, I can remember sitting in our office and thinking, the schools are about to close, everything's stopping, what's going to happen? And we just sort of got on and did, which was the best thing to do at the time. And that's what we needed to do. But actually, where restrictions are starting to ease, hopefully in the next few months, it's good for us to start thinking a little bit more strategically and proactively about what comes next. Where are organisations going? What are we going to do? What's the local authority going to be up to, etc. So yesterday we had a brilliant session with some speakers from the local authority and from the CCG talking about mental health, employment, funding opportunities, all of those things and where they might be going. And tomorrow we've got a session in the morning if anyone would like to join it. I'm sure Jamie can put the link to register to it in the chat for us. Talk with speakers from the National Lottery, Essex Community Foundation, and Alan, the chair of Southend Emergency Fund, who I can see here with us as well today, to talk about what next for funding. What have we learned over the last year? From funders that gave money out a lot quicker than normal. Where is funding going? What are the needs of organisations in terms of that funding? So this session here today as well is supposed to be part of that series. So a chance for everyone. We're going to give you all, I saw that we'd already started a little bit, but everyone's going to get 60 seconds to introduce themselves and their organisation. We've done this before. Some of you might have been in person with snacks. So that's a bit disappointing that we don't get the snacks with us today. I'll give everyone 60 seconds. Oh, Matt's got snacks. Good call. To give everyone 60 seconds to talk about whatever you want to say, really, about yourself, your organisation, what you're doing, where you're at. If you've got any links or further information that you'd like to share, please stick it in the chat because Jamie's going to keep hold of that afterwards. But really, we just want to give everyone a platform to say where they're at, what they're up to, what their plans are, what's going on, because we miss doing this in reality, and we used to do it sort of monthly or however often. So I'm hoping that, and I have a stopwatch that I can hopefully share on the screen as well, so I will be timing you as well, and I'll try and work through the list. So I think I started talking without explaining who I am, and there's a few faces I don't recognise. So just to say, I'm Gemma Cartwright. I've been at SAFS for nearly 6 years, and I'm the Sector Development Officer, part of the core team with Roger, Jamie and Maria. And we work really hard to try and support the sector to deliver things to the best it possibly can. I'm focused more on governance policies, funding, all sorts of bits and pieces behind the scenes. Maria's our super whiz that helps me out doing funding searches and all sorts of bits and pieces, whereas Roger and Jamie are working more on the information sharing, the networking, the weekly email that goes out. If you don't get the weekly emails, the best email you'll ever get each week, pop your email address into the chat and we'll make sure you do. And we work really hard behind the scenes to try and make sure you can all do what you need to do to the best you possibly can. So I'm going to kick off with I'll try and see if I can get my stop clock shared on the screen, and then I shall choose who's going to come first. So first in my list I have Mike, but there's no surname. So Mike, would you like to kick us off with your 60 seconds?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I'm Mike Fraser with the Essex Community First Aid Volunteers. We're a not-for-profit charity providing first aid medical event cover at charity and community events to enable the organisers to maximise the monies raised. We have about 60 volunteers, at least 8 of whom are in the Southend area, and we cover the whole of Essex.
Great, thank you, Mike. That's brilliant, thank you. Next on my list, I've got Alan with no surname.
That might be me then.
Do you want to go for it? I'll start your clock.
Lovely, timey. Hi, I'm Alan Kirkman. I'm the chair of the Southend Emergency Fund, which started a year ago, almost to the day, and was created to look at providing extra funding, especially to smaller groups, frontline groups in the town that were likely to be having higher demand put upon them because of COVID and needing resources, but not necessarily having the time or the knowledge to be able to access funds. So we've been very proactive in getting funds out there. There are funds that actually disappear on the 31st of March. So if you are looking to fund projects still, please get in contact, and the details will be in the chat.
Perfect. You've got 10 seconds left.
Oh, it's all right. I'll donate that to someone else.
Right, so next I've got Helen Well Westcliff.
Thanks, Gemma. Hi, I'm Helen. I started a group in May of 2019 now for new parents who were experiencing mental health or wellbeing issues around the time of pregnancy and birth. We've been going for a year and a half now, or nearly two, online mainly for the last year. As part of that, we've also done a little bit of training for local community members about maternal mental health. And I'm hoping we can actually get back to full-time groups by the end of the month. And I'm hoping we can actually have a second group in the area, because there's not a lot of specific space for that particular parent group at the moment. So yeah, it's still very new. I had a lovely chat with Gemma a few weeks ago about how to take it further. So we've got some great ideas in process. But yeah, so that's what we've been doing. But I think it's going to be quite timely with the end of lockdown mental health support. Thanks.
Thank you. Perfect. Next on my list, I have Kelly Marks.
So glad I've gone now and not later. The nerves are really getting to me. So yeah, I'm Kelly Marks. I work in the engagement and participation team within the council, and we work to get to know all of our community groups, create relationships with them, find out what's working well with them, and how we can support within the council. So we're the connectors within the council, and we can connect kind of externally with, you know, within each other's groups, and also within groups with the council. We work with our faith groups. We have a fortnightly meeting with our faith and community groups, which is going really well. So I'd urge anybody within the faith community to join that if you can. And we also work within our BAME community groups, yeah, and getting to know some of our all of our community groups. That's me.
Oh, perfect. Good timing. Right, next on my list, Kim.
Hi, so I'm Kim from Little Heroes ASD support group. So autism support group, supporting local families of children with autism, obviously there. We've used the time since COVID, since March, actually quite productively. So we've got a hub along London Road we was just starting to get on track, but we've actually used this time to look at funding to be able to aid some admin assistance and to actually be able to develop the back room into a playroom, which now is a lovely sensory play area that we're really hoping that we can open up to more people very, very soon. We started to open sessions again last summer, and with the use of Garen's as well, we've done some lovely picnics for everybody. And we went back into the hub, and then obviously we had to close towards the end of last year. However, we are slowly opening again, doing one-to-one support, doing lots of activity kits for families throughout the weeks. So, and we are hoping that we will be back on track. So we will, after Easter. That's me, I'll shut up.
Thank you, Kim, that was lovely. Next on my list, I've got Leanne Forrest.
Hi, I'm Leanne. I'm going to quickly pass over to Tracy because I am also with the Limbless Association, but I'm based near Manchester. I'm the Manchester Hub Coordinator. So I've just come on for a little bit of experience and to listen in. So I'm going to pass over to Tracy to introduce. That's okay.
Hi. Yeah, hello. So yes, my name's Tracy and I am the Essex Hub Coordinator. So yeah, our charity, as I said, is a national charity, and we support amputees both pre and post amputation. And prior to the lockdown, we was doing our support and connect hubs on the ground. We was doing them at Harold Wood Prosthetic Centre. But my job prior to lockdown was actually to get a hub set up in Southend. So that is what I was planning to do. But because we're unable to do them on the grounds, we have been doing them online, and we've been doing a 6-week wellbeing course that we've been offering to amputees, because we're very aware that being an amputee, you become very isolated.
Lovely, thank you. Well, good luck. And if you need any help with any of that, please come and talk to us as well at SAVS if we can be helpful.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
Lynn Bolter.
Hiya. Hi. Okay. I'm Lynn Bolter. I'm currently development officer, development manager for Garum Park. I mean, Garum Park, when people normally think about it, they think about cricket and football that's been going on for ages. But actually, we have a wellbeing place there. We have 32 acres of wonderful space, and we've been developing that so that it's safe and secure facilities for groups, like Kim said, to come over and actually be outdoors, partake in some exercise. We're doing a nature school. We've got an outdoor gym. A men's shed has actually launched. We have a 1 kilometre walk that goes round the park. So basically, it's just, and in this particular time, it's a great place to be over there when people have been isolated, to actually get over there, have some breathing space as we're coming out of lockdown, and feel much more confident about going back into the office.
Lovely, thank you, Lynn. Next on my list, Marie Edmonds, can you hear us?
I can. Hello.
Are you ready?
My name is Marie Edmonds. I'm the founder of Aspirations Programme and Carries Outreach. We run an outreach project on Ambleside Drive for the women that sell sex, and a drop-in service twice a week for them, where we look at their housing needs, their complex needs, sexual health. And we also run a 12-week abstinence-based day programme in the day. That was one of our support workers behind us. Then at the moment, we've got 5 women on that who are all abstinent and doing really well on the programme. And we work in a trauma-informed approach. We aim to give them the tools and the encouragement they need to be able to stay clean and to go back out into the community and be productive members of society.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Marie. Next on my list, I've got Mark Christie.
Hi, so I'm Mark Christie. I'm the business-to-business manager for Arriva Southern Counties. So we've got obviously quite a prominence in Southend. So I'm responsible for working with businesses around sustainable travel. So that could be providing travel warrants and tickets to help rationalise, centralise and reduce risk on travel expenses if you're funding travel. We offer a free discounted travel scheme for organisations for their employees. We work with education, in particular around bursaries, where students are being funded for bursary. We work with developers around Section 106, so that could be commercial developments or residential. We do event transport, rail replacement, dedicated employer shuttles if an employer is off the beaten track. And finally, we want to work with employers that have got particular issues around transport, i.e. the network doesn't quite fit with their shift patterns or they're just off the beaten track. I'm going to make the most of the last 2 seconds. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Next, Matt King.
Hi everybody, Matt. I'm the Chief Executive of TrustLinks. TrustLinks is a local independent mental health and wellbeing charity. We run Growing Together Therapeutic Community Gardens in Shoebury and Westcliff and Thundersley and Rochford. We also run the Reach Wellbeing Hub, where you can refer in for any mental health wellbeing support, information triage, that sort of thing. Lots of peer support groups. We run the Reach Recovery College, a whole load of positive activities and training and courses and workshops to improve mental health recovery. Befriending services, Talking Together. We've got about 100 volunteers through that. What else? Children and youth. We're doing loads of children and youth stuff at the moment. Youth Links, peer support groups, and We're just about to start an early years project with Better Start. Carers, we're part of the Southend Carers Hub, so we provide counselling, listening support and other stuff for carers. So I will put all of this in the chat, and then you can email me and link up. That'd be great. Nice to see you all.
Oh, good timing. Right, next one, Riz. Riz, are you there?
Do you know what happens? I'm eating up on my second. Someone just interrupted me and they said, Riz, it's your name. I went, no, I know. Hi, I've got to go through this all again, so I do apologise. I'm Riz. I'm from Citizen Wise Southend. We are a not-for-profit organisation, and obviously we do all the work around employment, debt, welfare benefits, which is going up to tribunal level, housing, where we do repossession, work with tenants with repossession cases, and also we do a duty help desk at court, along with supporting our clients with the universal credit applications and any other issue that they need assistance with. We don't just do it at a generalist level, we do it at a specialist level with our team. We also work with, we've got an immigration team, and we work on with contracts with the Home Office to do settled status and any other immigration service that's needed. I have put my email in the chat if anyone needs to contact us. Well, that was a minute.
Perfect, thank you. Next on the list, I've got Sarah.
Oh, is that me? Is there another Sarah?
No, you're the only one.
Ah, lovely. Hello. So I'm Sarah. Like I was saying, I currently work for Brooke in Essex, and over in Essex, we are a young people's charity. Moving into Southend, we're going to be the all-age sexual health service. So we're going to have the clinic and also education information that runs alongside it. I've just realised the time has not started. Do you want me to just keep talking?
Oh, yeah, just keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, I get more than a minute. So, oh, damn it, no, you started it. So yeah, for us, as the education, the information side of things, it is going to be all age. We have certain key target demographics that we want to be able to assist. So things such as homeless, sex workers, BAME, young people, older people. We're going to have a HIV provision. There is going to be so much. There's going to be loads of free training, free education for within schools, a condom distribution service that again is going to be all age. It's not going to be just young people. So there's really going to be a lot out there for whatever we can do to support you, because you guys are already doing amazing work. We want to be able to link over to you and see how we can assist those people that you're already working with. And just really try and collaborate as much as possible. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next on my list, I've got Tim.
Hello, Lions Club of Leigh-on-Sea. We're part of an international family of Lions Clubs, one of 5 in the local area. Our aims are simple: community service, fundraising to help those within the community and further afield, and have fun and fellowship while we're doing it. Each year we donate over £50,000 to good causes, mainly local, but also international aid. In recent times, our focus has been primarily on pandemic relief efforts and on hunger prevention, active supporters of Heart, YMCA, food banks. Currently providing fresh fruit boxes every week to the wards in Southend Hospital, Easter eggs and craft materials for young carers events, and installing defibrillators. Also financial support. Not just money though, we provide physical service and form one of the core teams of the Southend Coronavirus Action Support Team, delivering prescriptions and shopping. We also support social services. In collaboration with Southend Food Banks, we hope to shortly start a fresh food banks project, and come and see us if you need help.
Lovely, perfect timing. Thank you. Right, next I've got Toby.
Hi, yeah, that's me. Hi, I'm Toby Evans. I work for Southend Libraries as part of the community development team, which means that we do the outside of libraries bits, or bringing people specifically in libraries bits, all the extras, the events, the projects, the developments with the communities. My main focus sort of during the lockdown has been on the home library service, which is taking books out to people who can't get into the library. That's been an absolutely wonderful thing for me to do. I've found out that I like old people as well as children, just the people in between that are the struggle. So we've been doing that. We're very much looking forward to opening up for people to actually come back into the libraries on the 12th of April. So you might want to make a note of that date. But we've been running click and collect throughout, and we've had ebooks available throughout as well. If you're interested, we've also got some new collections of Reading Well books, which look at people's health and well-being, and we can actually loan out whole collections to groups apparently with that. We've had our first virtual event recently with a guy called John Kirk, which was 24 families on a story hunt in their homes, which was quite wild. And we're very much looking forward to, at the moment, World Book Night, where we're hoping to do a special event with the One Love Soup Kitchen and Jack Monroe, giving away loads of her books and actually doing a cooking lesson at the same time. So thank you.
Thank you. And I can vouch for the book packs. I've had them for my children and they're very, very good. So keep going with them.
Excellent.
If anyone else
Excellent.
has access them. But it was it made a very wet Saturday somewhat more exciting.
Right, okay. Was that the sort of click and collect thing where you just sort of phone up and they choose some for you?
Yeah, they do. So you say the age of the person and a little bit about them and what they like, and they gave us some like reading books and stuff like that my daughter.
Well, hopefully soon you'll get a whole 20 minutes to actually come into the library and choose some books for yourselves as well.
No, so thank you.
Thank you.
Zana from Bar and Bus.
Hello, yes, I'm Zana from Bar and Bus. I'm a new youth development worker in the area. Bar and Bus has been working in South Essex for a while. It's a Christian charity, but we're mainly concerned with youth work. I have come from a youth work background. I've also worked in schools, and so far I've developed a couple of detached youth work routes, one in Lee and Chalkwell and another one going in Westcliff. And I've also made links in schools. So I'm going to be doing some mentoring at the moment so far just in Chase School, but hopefully the other schools will get on board as well. The idea is that we will try and get some volunteers from the community as well to help, and we just want to support young people through adolescence, and that's the basis of it. So to link up with people like Brooke, and there's some great things that are with that have come out of this, that the links are going to be invaluable to me. So thank you very much, and hopefully I can help you too.
Lovely, thank you. It doesn't always go when I click on it. That's why it looks like I'm being not very good with the clock. I think I've probably done all our guests. Is there anyone that I've missed that isn't a SAVS person? Shout now or forever hold your peace. No. Right, Maria, is there anything you wanted to say? Are there any, I know you've just done the funding update for our weekly email. Are there any funds in there that you think it might be worth mentioning?
Oh, give me a second and I'll there's nothing that comes immediately to mind.
Right. I was going to mention to everyone that I think it would be really worthwhile getting in touch. I know Alan spoke earlier with the Southend Emergency Fund. The application is really simple and straightforward. So if you've got things maybe around particularly food and fuel support to families, or you're working with those that are clinically extremely vulnerable, maybe around their improving their well-being, mental health, supporting people to get back out there as lockdown restrictions end, or other sort of work around improving mental health and well-being, or just being part of that recovery of our communities, it's well worth having a look at their application. It's really nice and simple and straightforward. If anyone as well, the call I was on before this was talking to someone from Sport England, and they have a really nice fund that's open for a couple more weeks that might work for some of you. it's called Return to Play. So if you were doing anything that involves some kind of physical activity prior to lockdown restrictions, you can get that started again, get it going again. So it's not for new activities or things you've never done before, for things that you might have been doing previously. And it doesn't have to be a solid straight up sport. Any kind of physical activity is what they're looking at. So it could be as simple as a group of mums going out for a walk with the prams, or whatever that thing looks like. So have a look at that one. It's up to £10,000, but it feels like quite a nice little pot that people could access. They think it might close on the 1st of April, so have a look at it quickly. I'd encourage you as well to get in touch with Essex Community Foundation if you're not already receiving funding from them. They're really interested in supporting groups with their core funding. And Rosca Trust, who some of you might have come across before. So Rosca is ROSCA Trust. They need a letter. I have an example template. If you need it, you want to apply to them. Their next meeting is in May, so it might be worth getting in touch with them if you've got something small that you would like to seek some money for as well. So Maria, are there any that you want to highlight, or we'll tell everyone to read the weekly email when it comes later?
It's hard switching between the screens. One that is running from now till December is the Ocado Fund. This is the Ocado Foundation for Good, which is supporting the many rather than the few by giving grants of up to £1,000. They're focusing on 3 core areas of skills for the future, our natural resources, and responsible sourcing. So that's a new one that's come out, that's on a slightly smaller scale, but that does look rather interesting.
Thank you, Maria. Jamie, I know you've got your video turned off, but is there anything that you wanted to update or anything, or are you there?
No, not particularly. I think you guys have covered it really well, other than the fact that obviously Gemma mentioned if you're not already signed up to SAV's newsletter, please do so. And if there is anything you'd like to feature in that newsletter at any point, just email us. I'll drop the email in the chat just so you know where to send it, so we can include anything about your organisation in there for you.
Yeah, cool. And we're really keen. What's been great about having Jamie join the team is that, I don't know if anyone's noticed, we've been able to upscale our social media activity. So if you've got anything on social media that you're trying to share or you want to share, let us know how to follow you, how to see that, so that Jamie can reshare things, I can reshare things. And any positive, we're really keen on sharing positive stories with people. I know I was talking to Kim from Little Heroes yesterday, weren't we, about sharing positive messages with people, because so many are just finding things a bit tough at the moment. So if you have got any positive stories or anything like that you'd like us to help share, both across the sector, through our social media feeds, etc., please do let us know. We have a LinkedIn account now as well, so if that's a place that you're active, please do tag us there, or whatever the right term is, and we'll make sure that we're sharing that around. In terms of sort of any other updates with SAVs, we're excited about some of us going back into the office after the Easter holidays. We're sort of going to be working on a sort of a slow transition back into our building, so hopefully we can physically see some of you by the summertime again. We're still working with the council and scaling down that sort of residents helpline that we've had running, and I know like Tim's here and others here would been really involved in that. So if that's a sign of things getting better and hopefully things going back to whatever normal is, I guess that's there. We're keen on trying to bring as many groups together as possible. I think partnership working is going to be even more important than ever before as we go forward with, challenges around funding. People keep talking to me about mental health and well-being being really, really big priorities and key issues for the town. someone I spoke to the other day was saying that there's an estimated 25,000 people who could be unemployed if they're not re-employed once furlough ends later in the summer. I don't know how reliable that statistic is, so don't necessarily give it to anyone else, but I think it gives a sense of feeling of the scale of the challenges we might come up against as the year progresses. It's lovely to see quite a few of you working around health as well. So there's lots of chat in the sector about health inequalities. I think COVID has really highlighted those more than ever before. So when I say inequality, inequality being you're less likely to be well because of, you know, lower income, your housing, where you find yourself living. And it's still true to say that if you're living in the Kersal ward, you'll live 11 years less than if you live next door in the Thorpe ward. So, you know, COVID has kind of made that more acute. I think we've seen more cases of COVID in some of those areas than we have others. So lots of organisations have been talking to me about people's confidence and ability to actually access health services over the last year has been a big challenge too. So I'm sure that's something that some of you are picking up on as well. I've been asked to kind of sort of, well, not really draw us to a close, but to kind of remind everyone to try and pop your email and your organisation name in the chat so that we can make sure we've shared that with everyone. And then if anyone wants to get in touch with anyone else, you can. But I'd like to kind of pose you all another question if I can. I guess for us as SAVs, you know, this last year has been bonkers, and in a normal year, I see 150 organisations. I've tallied it up and we've actually worked to support over 300 in the last year, which is why we're tired, I think, with lots of different queries and things over the course of that time. It would be good for us, you know, I remember sitting with Roger this time last year and we were saying, well, what can we do? What skills have we got? And you know, he was saying, well, we'll run the helpline, we'll share information. And I was like, well, we'll write bids for people because we know we can do that. But over the next year, it feels like things will be different. So it would be good to know from you what kind of support you think as organisations would be useful to you. So, you know, I need to plan our next training program. Is training something you're interested in? And if so, what kinds of things? Funding support, are you not sure where to go, how to get your community fundraising up and running? Are you concerned about your policies and procedures? Are you worried about building partnerships with others? Is it your core costs? Is it projects? Is it HR? Is it you know, volunteers, getting those in, having a trustee board that represents you well? Whatever that thing is, I'd be really interested in hearing from you all about what you, I know you don't want to kind of give away your weaknesses as an organisation over the next 6 months, but it would be good to know what kind of sort of support you think would be useful either for yourselves or for other organisations. If I sort of pick someone at random, hopefully you can help get us started. Matt, what do you think would be useful for SAVs to be doing over the next year?
For me, I think connecting people up is really important. I think this sort of thing is really valuable to make sure that people know what else is going on, try to avoid duplication, or, you know, where people kind of identify gaps, making sure that we're kind of linking in, or at least where there is crossover, that people join up. Because I think so often, you know, I've learned a few things today and I've been in this role for quite a few years now. So it's always useful to know what's going on and who's doing what, and linking people up. So I see that as a really core function of SAVs. And I think, you know, if SAVs don't do it, nobody does it. And yeah, when I've worked in other areas, it hasn't always happened. So I think that's a real strength of SAVs. And I think actually digitally is quite a good way to carry on doing some of that, because, you know, trying to go into the middle of town park and all of that stuff can be a hassle. So just, you know, 30-40 minutes lunchtime things or breakfast things or whatever is a really good way of doing that. But I think, yeah, people seeing real faces does help, as opposed to just getting a newsletter, although we love your newsletter too, Gemma and Roger and Maria and everybody else.
Lovely, thank you. Anyone else got any thoughts on what would be useful for us to be doing? Yep, Tim?
I think there's, whilst it's every charity has a challenge finding sustainable funding going forward, there's quite a lot of help and assistance in that particular area. The challenge that I think we face certainly during the year is actually availability of volunteers, and not just general volunteers, but actually volunteers who are multi-talented in terms of young enough, fit enough to actually do some of the sort of more practical jobs. A lot of volunteers, perhaps in my organisation, are the older generation, and certainly in the early days they were explicitly banned from volunteering in the community because they were considered a health risk, and therefore I lost half of my workforce because of that, more than half in fact. But so it's really, I think there's a big discussion we need to have about keeping the engagement. Lots of people have suddenly stood up and started doing some volunteering as part of the pandemic when they've never done it before, and they're maintaining that enthusiasm so we can start to use them in our charities for all the problems that are still going to be there after the pandemic's gone entirely.
Is that a challenge for others? Do you find that do other people see that too? Yeah, I can see some nodding heads.
So if I can jump in a little bit, it's kind of related, but it's just kind of joggled my brain a bit. So for us, we're also looking for volunteers. So if there's any support that SAVS can give us, that would be great. But it's also reaching out to all of you guys, because our volunteers will be very much based at home. I have no other way of describing this. So we're looking for those online volunteers. We're looking for those people who are happy to be a face within the community. So we've already spoken to One Love to be able to get people to kind of put across our sexual health message, put across happy, healthy lives and everything like that. So it might be that there's some kind of crossover as well, that if someone isn't able to physically do the work, then they could potentially join up with other agencies where they might be able to do other parts. I'm very aware though that talking about sex is very different, so it may not be in everyone's comfort zone, but if it was, again, they're more than welcome to contact us, because we want those community champions that will be able to support the work that we're doing, and again, tie between all the different organisations. So with One Love, we want to, I'm picking on them, so I do feel really bad because I know they're not here, but with them we want to be able to support them, so we give to them, they give back to us, so that we can continue giving to the community that's already there. So yeah, anything, absolutely anything to do with volunteers would be great. Thank you.
Anyone else got any other points that they think it would be useful? Yep, Tracy.
I would just like to say, yeah, thank you, Gemma, for organising these events, because you don't realise what other charities are out there, what other organisations, and how we can all link up. And I'd just like to say, Gemma, I thought it was a really good idea that you said that you can share our social media posts, because I wasn't aware that you could do that for us, because as a Limbless Association charity, lots of amputees are unaware of the support that is out there for them. So you can really feel really isolated. You can feel really alone. So just by networking like this, we just really want to make awareness, because we have so much as a charity to offer amputees, not just amputees, their family and friends, because everybody goes through the trauma themselves, all in different ways. But we have a really good volunteer visitor programme. And I'm actually an amputee myself, and that's how I've got involved with the charity. I've been involved with the charity for about 3 years now, but really talking to somebody else really does help. And we just want them to feel that they're not alone. So if any of you just know of anybody, or just about spreading the awareness, really, that's all. So thank you. I just find these really beneficial.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I'm pleased that you found this useful. Maybe if it's gone well today, we could maybe do a few more of these, because as Matt was saying, and I call it the new normal, and I hate that phrase, but maybe we become more efficient by doing these things quickly online at lunchtime, rather than people having to physically come to a place. That probably makes a big difference, doesn't it? So thank you. I've seen in the chat, Kelly, you've put community celebrations with a smiley face. Would you like to elaborate? I'm excited by that.
I think it's just, what everyone's been saying about the events that you've organised, and we always talk about the work that we do aiming towards asset-based community development. And one of the first things that we talked about was communities having a party. It's a great way for everyone to get together, and I'm going to get shot speaking from a council employee on that. And I fully appreciate that, you know, obviously arranging gatherings, particularly now, I'm thinking about more in the future. And I realise that from a council perspective, we need to work so much harder on, you know, stopping that red tape and working harder to enable community groups to have parties. And believe you me, it's something that my colleague and I are working to achieve. So yeah, just, you know, transparency, more visibility for our community groups, more of a celebration on the incredible work that we do, and just more of a, you know, a community vibe. You do some great work at SAVS, and I think that if we can replicate your newsletter in a real life sense, that would be incredible.
No, thank you. Whenever there's a party, I'm available. Matt, I saw your hand going up.
Just two things. One, in response to Kelly, there is a Hamlet Court Road in Harmony party organised festival, we call it, on the 25th of July that I'm involved with through my Milton Community Partnership hat. So Hamlet Court Road will be shut off, subject to COVID staying away, on the 25th of July. And I think it's 11 till 3. There'll be a stage with music and food and engaging local businesses. There are stalls for community groups as well. So look that up on Facebook, Hamlet Court Road in Harmony. That would be really great. Separate point, just a role for SAVS, which I know you do, but just to reinforce it as a really important point, is the influencing of the council, the CCG, you know, being the voice of the voluntary sector, community sector. And I think yesterday was a really good example where, you know, it was a really good dialogue to be having with the likes of Benedict. And, you know, I think a shame that the senior person from health didn't come, but the more that those sorts of discussions can happen and that they can publicly acknowledge the value of the voluntary sector and then publicly do something about it, the better, really. So yeah, more power to you, and where we can support, I think we'd love to do that, be brought into meetings and, you know, strategic forums or whatever, both, you know, the larger charities, and I think the power of the really small, you know, groups doing really amazing things as well. You know, and that's telling the stories, articulating the difference that we make to the lives of the people that we work with, and getting that in front of councillors, in front of senior officers, both within the council, but within health, within, you know, police and the other partners. I think that's really, really important that that voice is out there, because if you're not doing it, we're not doing it. I mean, we've seen it in the recent government budget that, you know, we've been forgotten as a voluntary sector within the, you know, so much goes to the private sector. Obviously NHS, everybody's talking about the NHS and saying how wonderful it is, but people in the voluntary sector have worked blooming hard over the last year. Doesn't get acknowledged, it doesn't get talked about in the mainstream media. It's all about the NHS, isn't it? But I think, you know, the volunteers working in the soup kitchens, or, you know, sexual health clinics, or, you know, with mental health issues or whatever, or, you know, people raising the funding to then distribute that out. You know, I think it's fascinating, it's fantastic, and it should be shouted about more. We should have a regular page in the Echo every day. You know, we should really be banging the drum. I know you do it, so well done. Keep up a bit more.
No, thank you, Matt. Mike, I can see your hand up, but I'm going to take the opportunity to try and influence our friend from the council, Kelly. I think it would be amazing if there was a pot of funding available for small community events over the summer. Restrictions allowing, obviously, and maybe that's something that we could talk about with the emergency fund. So Alan is just literally below me, and Kelly, you're just underneath. So maybe that's something that could be spoken about, because I know that last night Southend Carnival announced that there wouldn't be a carnival again this year. I used to be vice chair of it before I worked at SAVS, and there's been a carnival in Southend every year since 1906. They missed 1 year in the Second World War, and this will be their second year miss since last year. And it's events like that, whether we love them or hate them, that bring people together. And I think it's gonna, you know, that's too big. They can't possibly do it. They have 30,000 people, but to have a pot of funding that was like 1,000, 2,000 that could run community stuff in a park, on a green space, in a communal lounge, you know, something like what Matt's doing, I think would be a really, really nice pot to utilise for mental health over the summer.
I will send you a meeting invite imminently.
Perfect. Thank you. Mike, your hand's gone up. Would you like?
Replying to Matt, yes, we have already been booked to provide a first aid cover at the Hamlet Court Road event, and obviously any other events that are being run by either the council or other charities in the Southend area. If they want to get hold of us, we have a Facebook page which I put on the chat earlier. Okay.
No, that's lovely. Thank you. And I'm just thinking as well, looking at the screen, Lynn, obviously you've got Wellbeing at Garum Park and such a fantastic space over there. Are you up for some events in the summer? I'm sure you would be.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, we've got loads of outdoor space, but of course we've also got Boundary, which is a marquee that we work closely with them, and they do events, weddings, corporates, and I mean it can seat 250,000 or whatever. So we've got indoor space and we've got outdoor space over there. So yeah, as Kim said, you know, we've had a couple of little events over there with the children. RE House have been over there and had events. So absolutely open to anything like that. It'd be great to get people, you know, back outside and over there as well. So yeah.
Cool, thank you. So maybe I've been saying for months that I'm going to arrange a massive party for voluntary sector volunteers and staff that are exhausted to sit on Southend Beach and drink the 7 bottles of Prosecco in my fridge. It's probably not appropriate and I'm being recorded, but I take what you mean. It's all about that celebration, and I think it is all about us being able to celebrate and shout loudly, because it does, not that credit's not being given where credit's due, and there are many who have gone above and beyond in all kinds of different guises, but I think you're right, Matt, the voluntary sector does often get forgotten, but we just kind of carry on and we get on with it. So, you know, it would be good to get some kudos for that. I think you know, particularly with the local press, I would be really, really delighted if the Echo were to share some more positive stories and have a more positive approach in their sharing than maybe they do. But yeah, so I can see that we're almost at 2 o'clock. Is there anything else, any other plugs or invitations or hellos or messages that anyone else would like to informally give before we finish off? Yep, Tim?
Actually, it's following on site from a discussion just held actually with regard to community events, which are very much a part of the voluntary response in the town in terms of general well-being. One of the things that we normally run is the Old Leigh Regatta, and whilst that hasn't been formally cancelled this year, it's under some extremely serious consideration about its viability. So that's why I'm particularly curious about the Hamlet Court Road one. I think there's an extra stress on any organisation that's organising the first event in the borough. I'd love to be part of any conversation. I'm not quite sure this is the right forum for it, but maybe Kelly has contacts here of anyone that actually wanted to gather some of the people who are involved in organising events normally in Southend to actually have a sort of discussion behind the scenes about how we're going to get them all going again safely.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I mean, Kelly, have you got anything, oh, Kelly, are you still there? You've moved. I mean, in terms of sort of the event management licensing and process and everything, is that sort of the same as ever, or is that what you're saying, that you're trying to make that less bureaucratic?
Just in general, we are trying to, I say my colleague Boggy and I, you know, Boggy, Gemma, and from an organisational perspective, I'm not senior, I'll be honest, I'm not senior enough to know, to be updated or in the know about any of those formal processes, so I wouldn't be able to speak. But from a community and grassroots level, enabling community groups to, that's something that my colleague Boggy and I are working on, and to try and, because we know there's an enormous amount of red tape and bureaucracy that comes with organising events. We're trying to lessen that greatly. So yeah, it will be a case of watch this space, and it's really lovely to have this initial conversation today, making notes, and I will make sure that we have a meeting to follow up. So yeah, watch this space.
Brilliant, thank you. Anyone else got anything they want to No, so I'm going to kind of draw us to a close, but I'm going to rudely invite Alan to have the closing section, because I'd really like him to just encourage you all to think about approaching the Southend Emergency Fund, who meet every Wednesday, so you get a very quick decision on whatever you apply for, just to sort of say a few words about the fund and encourage you all to apply. Alan. He's on mute.
Thank you for the opportunity. I apologise if any of you were there yesterday, because I was asked to do the same yesterday. It seems to be becoming a habit, but the fund does meet weekly. We aim to get money out as quickly as possible to especially smaller organisations as well. I will say, first of all, an apology for those of you that have been applying. And some of those funds are coming via the National Lottery, and we've had to supply those on a debit card, and that has a prepaid debit card, and that has presented problems and challenges, not of our making. Thank you for bearing with us, and we are now in the process of getting that money out. There are two funds that we have, the National Lottery one and another one for families, that actually end on the 31st of March. We still have some funds left in both of those pots. So you can apply, and the website, which I put in the chat, has all the details as to how you can apply and what you can apply for. And there will be further funds available from April. What we found with the fund is that actually working together in cooperation, and what's happened with the fund is formalized some very informal relationships that were there before between SAVs, the council, frontline organizations and other funders. And what that's been able to do is help to identify need, help to meet that need quickly and effectively, and also give them confidence, especially to smaller organisations, to actually apply for funding. And by being proactive and looking at what the needs are and how they can be met, small amounts of money have produced a tremendous amount of positivity good, and enable groups to then go on to actually apply to other grant giving organisations for further money. And I must pay tribute to Gemma, actually, in terms of creating events like the Dragon's Den, which we've done, which again is a very proactive and easy entry for organisations, especially those that are starting, to get some training, but also to get an initial amount of funding, which is not only encouraging but kickstart their works. And I think far more has been achieved with some of those groups than would have been without that type of approach. So one of the things that's been mentioned is having or SAVs being in the middle of organising networks. And I think going forward, to have themed events around common areas of work or interest. So for instance, like volunteering or areas around mental health, if forums like that can be put together every so often, where all those that are participating in that particular area of need or require particular support, be it grant funding, volunteers, whatever, if there's a session every so often around a theme, that will enable us to all understand each other's needs and requirements. And what I want to see from the emergency fund, I think we're going through a period where something like the emergency fund will become a recovery fund, and helping organisations to remain active and viable going forward, so they can still provide the support needed to their particular groups. And I think the more cooperation we can get between ourselves as frontline providers and funders and other funding groups within the town, the more we can communicate with each other, the more we can remove the red tape and the bureaucracy around applying for funds, the more we understand each other's positions and bringing in the health authorities and the local councils into those discussions, in fact, can make us far more effective with the resources and the monies we've got. So I'm looking forward to an exciting future in the town, because there's such incredible dedication in so many organisations that want to provide the best for Southend. And I think with good skills, goodwill and good communication, a lot can be achieved. And I look forward to seeing that happen, especially over the next few months and the coming years. So thank you.
No, no problem. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for your wise words at the end. Well, no, it's fine. So thank you very much, everyone. I've seen a question in the chat. If you've had money, so the emergency fund is currently being administered by Shared Space. If you've had money from Shared Space in other forms, you can still apply to the Southend Emergency Fund. And likewise, if you've had money from the emergency fund before, you can go back and ask for some more as well. So, you know, do consider that and bear that in mind. But I think that's probably us done. If you've got any last minute probing thoughts that you'd like to share, or questions or email addresses, pop it in the chat, because we'll be here for another 5 minutes or so. But it was lovely to see you all, and do join us tomorrow morning at 10:30 for the last one in our What Next series with the funders. They're going to be speaking, and there'll be lots of time for Q&A with them as well. Hopefully you won't be too bored of Alan by then, because he'll be there with us as one of our speakers. But we've got Lottery and Essex Community Foundation there as well, so if you're interested in applying to them, it's probably a good session to come along to. So lovely to see you all, and have a good rest of the day. The sun's out, so you know, get out and get partying with one other person. See you all later.
Thank you.
Gemma?
Yeah.
Is it okay to have a catch up at some point?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to